Around New Year's Day 2023, Chinese people defied official bans and gathered in masses to light fireworks. It happened in both southern and northern China. This blatant defiance of the government's authority has been dubbed the fireworks revolution by many Chinese. Since 2018, various governments in China have issued so-called fireworks bans that restrict and ban fireworks, citing environmental and safety concerns. For example, the capital city of Beijing has imposed a citywide ban on fireworks since January 1st, 2022, which prohibits fireworks in any area under Beijing's municipal jurisdiction, except as approved by the municipal government. Due to the severe penalties, common folks in China are arguably the most compliant with government regulations. However, the situation is different in 2023. Upon the arrival of the new year, residents of this county in Henan province set off firecrackers to celebrate the new year. Soon the police came to make arrests. The crowd surrounded the police car to prevent them from making the arrest. A similar incident happened in another county in the same province. According to the latest developments, local youths had broken the ban on fireworks for several days in a row. So on the evening of January 2nd, police arrested the residents who set off fireworks again. The crowd surrounded the police vehicles and demanded the release of the arrested. They also physically pushed and shoved police, after which some young people began to smash police vehicles. A teenager wearing the luxury fashion brand Balenciaga stepped on top of the police vehicle at the scene, waving the police license plate. He danced as people around him cheered along. The front windshield of the police car was smashed. Afterward, young people at the scene tipped over not only the police vehicles, but also continued to light up fireworks next to the toppled police vehicles. In Xuchang, Henan province, the New Year's Eve fireworks were particularly lively. Look how carefree the young people were. Fireworks and firecrackers are also banned in the city. On Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, a platform closely monitored by the Chinese government, some videos are blatantly captioned, "The rebellious people of Xuchang, how can New Year celebrations go on without firecrackers?" Comments under the footage are rather interesting. One wrote, "Xuchang fired the first shot against the ban on fireworks." Another wrote, "The experts were disappointed to see it." Some wrote, "Experts are disappointed to see this. Will they secretly call the police?" Others wrote, "Fireworks drive away all evil." Others jokingly wrote, "Those behind the organization and incitement will eventually be brought to justice." This video shows residents of Xi'an, the capital of Shanxi province, being stopped by police as they light firecrackers. The girl said, "Everyone is lighting fireworks." Before she finished her sentence, another firework went up in the sky nearby. On New Year's Eve, people in many parts of China adopted a new way of lighting fireworks, setting off fireworks while driving. It attracted police who tried to stop them or police cars that chased them, but the drivers didn't seem to care as they continued to light fireworks. Come and discover a rare scene where Chinese people displayed their naughty side on New Year's Eve. This woman parked her car on the bridge, sitting on the top of the vehicle while shooting off fireworks with ease. It attracted young people on the bridge to stop and watch. Of course, it attracted police vehicles too. You might think it is no big deal to light a firework in violation of a government ban. Not for the Chinese Communist authorities. Look how nervous the police are. For example, in Luyi County, the same county where the teenage boy danced on a car rooftop, the Education and Sports Bureau of this county held an emergency meeting on January 3rd, stressing that the incident the night before had led to the Henan provincial government being singled out and criticized. The local county government and the Public Security Bureau held a special briefing meeting. A director of the Bureau of Education and Sports said that the troublemakers were under 20 years old or even under 15 years old, mainly teenagers and students. So schools of all kinds are required to make the ideological education of students a priority. The theme of youth ideology and legal education is required to educate students to love the country, love the party, love society, love school, and to educate students on gratitude. At the meeting, it also revealed that at the year end, there were many complaints and petitions to the county government, so it was important to eliminate them, especially those that may skip the local level and go to the upper levels. In addition, the schools were also asked to control the teachers. Teachers should not go out. If they leave the unit, it must be reported. Afterward, the county police issued a notice saying that at 11 p.m. on January 2nd, in the square in the city of Luyi County, some people vandalized the police vehicles parked on the roadside, etc. The police had already filed a case against 8 people and arrested 6 of them, etc. On January 3rd, the teenager wearing Balenciaga wrote on social media, "I'll take responsibility for what I did. Don't involve my parents." This sounds a bit like a heroic character in Chinese martial arts fiction. We believe that the Communist Party's vigorous ban on fireworks is not entirely motivated by environmental and safety concerns. More than anything else, the CCP has always felt insecure about its own regime, so it wants to ban not only guns and knives, but even fireworks and firecrackers in the end. Perhaps it considers fireworks a possible offensive weapon, just as petrol bombs can attack. But this ban violates a Chinese tradition that has been in place for thousands of years, so people are upset. This is the New Year's Eve in Hong Kong. This is Taipei from Taiwan.
Happy New Year! 在画面中，我们也看到友善、运动友善、多元友善、文明台湾。谢谢在这个跟世界交朋友。
It's fair to note that in mainland China, fireworks are still allowed in major scenic spots to attract tourists. Common folks need a little festive atmosphere for the new year. Despite it not being the traditional Chinese New Year, but one according to the Western calendar, Chinese people could no longer hold back after 3 years of lockdown controls. Thus, given such an atmosphere, they just broke out. This was in Tianjin, where a brave woman took the lead in lighting fireworks. Several police officers approached and tried to dissuade her, but she ignored them. What happened later? The power of the example is enormous, and the crowds around her started lighting fireworks. This is a city in the northeast and the largest capital city in China in terms of territory. A man was arrested by the police for setting off fireworks, and people around him shouted Happy New Year to see him off. Some people may wonder that during the White Paper Revolution, people at least shouted out the slogan, End the CCP. The fireworks revolution has no political demands. Why is it called a revolution? In our opinion, it is called a revolution because behind the festive fireworks The Chinese people have endured too much pain and sorrow over the past 3 years, and people are on edge, thinking of changes. The violation of the ban on fireworks at this time reflects a form of civil disobedience of the CCP's laws. The public has begun to reflect on the authority of the CCP, and some are already filled with rage. The 3-year-long zero-COVID policy has thrown the lives of many ordinary people into unprecedented hardship. Collective pay cuts. Civil servants are no longer good job options. Zhejiang civil servants cut their pay by 25%, Jiangsu by 15%, and Fujian by 20%. Even first-tier cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, etc. couldn't bear the pressure and announced pay cuts. This year's freight market is terrible. Many truck drivers are unable to find work. The ones who brought their own trucks and wanted to be their own boss can't hold on anymore. They have to sell their trucks now because they can't find any work. So the market this year is really rotten, too rotten. The result is that those of us who are affiliated with a truck company become unemployed. We can't find jobs. When jobs?
I would like to see if work is going well for everyone these days. I've heard recently that various technology companies, not so much from hearsay as from actual news, are starting to lay off employees again. Tencent first released the news. 30% layoffs. That means tens of thousands of internet workers will lose their jobs. They will be faced with the problem of finding jobs again. Also, a few days ago, Ruixing has laid off 9,000 people. 9,000 people. What concept is that?
太难了。刚在老家贷款180万买了套房子，结果最近我却被公司裁员了，每个月有13000的房贷和2500的车贷要还。前2天本来面试好了一家公司，底薪5000块钱每个月，说的这周一就可以去上班了。但是昨天晚上的时候，人事突然给我发微信说，他和老板说了一下，老板说年前他们没有招聘计划了。当时听到这个消息的时候，我真的眼泪都快流了下来。好不容易找好的工作，结果又泡汤了。明天就是还房贷的时间，但是我手里真的1分钱也没有。微信上联系了几个比较要好的朋友，他们都说最近自己也比较困难，受疫情影响，收入也减少了好多。我理解他们，现在确实大家都不容易。很多人都说明天会更好，但是我这种情况能坚持到明天吗？
When the zero-COVID policy was suddenly lifted, China was hit by a nationwide tsunami of outbreaks. Instead of the expected economic recovery, the Chinese were plunged into the grief of losing loved ones and the associated financial burden. The explosion of COVID cases has overloaded crematoriums and made it difficult to cremate bodies promptly. It has deprived the bereaved as well as the deceased of the dignity that is normally expected at a Chinese funeral. Many sources confirm that the death toll has skyrocketed, funeral homes are running over capacity, and funeral services have taken advantage of the opportunity to hike prices dramatically. When Bloomberg News called a Beijing service provider, an employee said that cremations could be arranged within 3 days for 68,000 renminbi, or about $10,000 US, and same-day cremation services for $13,000 US. Under normal circumstances, the cost of funeral services would be about several thousand renminbi or a few hundred US. We can't afford to live under the lockdown. Bloomberg quoted one user's comments on Weibo as saying, "Now we can't afford to die either." On December 28, 2022, a Shanghai resident sent a WeChat message in her neighborhood group chat saying that she had tried multiple ways to cremate her deceased father without success and decided to find an open space to burn the body on her own in the neighborhood where she lived. Residents can call the police if they have a complaint. According to screenshots of follow-up messages in the group chat, local officials eventually intervened to speed up the matter after strong protests in the neighborhood. However, in some remote areas, people have been seen burning coffins on the roadside. Even for the affluent, these are tough times. When the father-in-law of a renowned Chinese economist passed away, he posted on social media about the difficulties of finding a cremation site. 200 to 300 bodies are waiting to be cremated at Beijing's Babaoshan funeral homes daily. Today we couldn't get in line. There were no funeral hearses, and the families were told to take their elderly father's body to the Babashan funeral home by private vehicle. That was the only way. There would be no farewell ceremony. Our wish to give our elderly father a decent funeral cannot be honored, and our only hope is that our father could be cremated alone. This post confirms our previous report that for many common folks, the bodies of their families have to be cremated together with the bodies of several other families. Only the bodies of more high-ranking individuals can be cremated alone. This post also explains why we see a lot of private vehicles in many funeral parlors. They are carrying the deceased loved ones. People have to prepare for not only the high cost of cremation, but also the heavy burden of medical bills incurred by their deceased loved ones. This is how one family member described the cost of half a month's hospitalization for his father, who was infected with the epidemic. The money was spent and the life was lost. Today's bill is more than 102,000 renminbi, about 15,000 US dollars. After 12 days in the ICU of this hospital and 3 days in the inpatient unit, the cost was more than 20,000 renminbi, more than 3,000 US dollars. Never mind the previous 2 hospitals. This time, the part I have to pay is more than 60,000 renminbi, that is nearly 9,000 US dollars. The ICU, if you don't have medical insurance, is almost 1,500 US dollars per day, which is a heavy burden. At the same time, I also want to say that those experts claim that this is a small cold and not fatal, taking 3 to 5 days to recover. Why don't they come out and verify it? Those experts also claim that there are no severe symptoms and no death. Why don't you come out and verify it? Come and see, is it death from new coronavirus? Is it not the new crown pneumonia death? Is it possible that the Beijing government will rejoice in the mass passing of many elderly people, for it will take pressure off an already heavily deficient pension account? The reality is, over the long run, life will be even harder for young Chinese. According to our observation, there's been a high unemployment rate among young people born in the 80s and 90s in recent years. This group has relied on their fathers' and even grandfathers' support to survive. It's the elderly in the family who have saved their pensions and helped their children and grandchildren to survive the wave of unemployment in these years. It might have, in fact, averted many potential troubles from unemployment. Now that such money is gone, it is more than likely to cause more social problems. The White Paper Revolution has planted the seeds of nonviolence and non-cooperation. Civil disobedience will become more decentralized, diverse in its demands, and more persistent. Therefore, even if the Chinese people don't yell out slogans like "End the CCP is still very scared, because what this Red Party fears the most is that the people no longer fear it.